Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Two Guys, One Mic. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm James.
And today we'll be looking back at old franchises that have sort of found their way into the gaming graveyard that we would love to sort of bring back from the dead.
Yeah, these are mostly going to be games that from like Xbox, the original Xbox, PS2 era.
Yeah, we're not going to be talking about like old Nintendo or NES, SNES games. Just games that, you know, we've played, we loved when we were younger, that hasn't been touched in a really long time. So yeah. So
let's get started.
Okay, guys, the first game we're going to be talking about is Fable, the Microsoft IP from 2004 by Peter Molyneux and the good folks at Lionhead Studio.
Yeah, may they rest in peace. That
studio. So Fable was a really interesting game, a game that was, I think, overshadowed by way too much hype.
Yeah, thanks Peter Molyneux for that one.
Yeah, I remember Peter was like talking about trying to, you can catch arrows and do this and do that.
I remember growing trees was one of them.
Yeah, so it's just, and you know what? Criticism aside, I feel like Fable still was a game that I really loved to play. It was a lot of fun. I loved the elements. Like the story was really well done. It was really funny. The writing was great.
The first one was really well done.
The first one was great. Yeah, two wasn't bad. Fable 3 was kind of like nah.
Yeah, Fable 3 is when it really started kind of just falling off and not really knowing what it wants to do.
Yeah, so I don't know. Fable was a game that, and then after Fable, Peter Molyneux left, Microsoft owned the IP, and they started making all these weird like offshoot games. Fable Legends, that was like a weird take in that world, and then
even before that was Fable Journey, the Kinect focused game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Chariot one, which is just
like Fable Legend, just like what was it? It was like you had to. One guy was the villain. One guy. People were
4-on-1 thing.
4 versus 1. Yeah, sort of the original 4 versus 1 style game, and Microsoft canceled it. And you know what? Fable is a game that
it's like I don't blame it because looking at like it Evolved, for example, how that game just came and went within like a week.
Yeah, no one really people played that, but it wasn't as popular. I remember when it went free to play. Yeah, it got a bit more of a surge, but
it's like I just don't feel like those free 4 versus 1 games just don't work.
Well, the new Friday the 13th game came out. That's still crazy popular. It's the same sort of concept.
Yeah, but I think those are PC though. It's not really console.
That's true.
Well, those are popular on PC. I should say.
Yeah,
Friday vs. Jason is on console.
But yeah, Fable was great. Like the writing was great. The story was great. It was really funny. But with me, it was like I just wanted them to go back into that world, get back into that writing and like that style, and like sort of live up some of the hype that Peter Molyneux promised with the original Fable. You know, a lot of those things you can probably do now. Have vast open worlds where you can like farm and this and that and like micromanage. These are standards in some games now. You know what I mean? So let's bring it back, but have some of that cartoony flair that made Fable what it was,
and with deeper RPG stuff.
Yeah,
not like a basic just 3 things. Upgrade. You choose which one you want.
Cool. So let's move on to a game that we both love.
Everyone loves.
Everyone loved. That I actually recently beat on my iPhone, which is nuts. Thinking back, like how far we've come. The game was from BioWare. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Again, that game when it first came out blew everyone's expectations from what's expected from a Star Wars game. It was the first time you really got one of those first early games you really got to choose good versus evil, and it was cool. Like it was such a tight story, such great characters.
It's probably some of the best, or if not the best, Star Wars villains.
Yeah, oh yeah, and 2 was great too. Like I loved KOTOR, even though it wasn't made by BioWare. I thought the management of items and stuff was done a lot easier, and I also liked that story as well. Like it wasn't awful by any means.
I know that the game didn't quite end properly, but
I don't remember what happened at the end of KOTOR 2.
Yeah, but I played it more recently, so I know like the ending of it kind of didn't work, but the characters in it were still great.
Yeah.
So just to bring them back into canon, I think would be awesome.
Yeah, so that'd be, again, a game that we'd love to see sort of come back from the graveyard, the BioWare graveyard. Cool, guys. So moving on. So I know we just talked about BioWare and KOTOR and how great of an RPG that was. Well, 2 years later,
2005.
2005, yeah. BioWare actually released another amazing RPG that came and went, and there was no sequel, But the game to me is a game. I loved this game, and I wish that they sort of kept it going. I would love to see them explore that sort of rule like Asia, like it was like feudal Japan. I think it was that type of game. For those who don't know what we're talking about, it's Jade Empire.
Yeah, and like it had great reviews. I just don't understand. I guess it probably just didn't sell well.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a game that I thought was so well done, so much fun. The character, I remember the twist in the ending of that game. Spoiler alert, was pretty nuts. It was like the
12-year-old game.
Yeah, it was like your teacher in the beginning of the game ends up being like the mastermind,
the villain,
the main villain. He's the entire time. I think there was a weird like balancing issue with that game because I remember by the end of it, I was able to transform into like the elephant spirit and just completely demolished the final boss.
Broke the game.
I broke the game, but it was great. Like the characters were great.
I remember the fighting.
Combat was great. The combat was so cool. Like you'd fly around and like you'd see like this dragon,
dive and
like flow around you. It had a beautiful style and clearly influenced by what they did before that with Kotar. So I know Jade Empire is a game that I think deserves a lot more love. I think deserves a second chance in the spotlight.
Yeah, or just like remake it and just like I'll just play it again anyway. Just
on consoles. New graphics, make sort of some of the animations a little bit smoother. Cut down on load times. But like the voice acting was so great. The story was great. Like Jade Empire.
Love to go back to that world.
Yeah.
Moving on to a Nintendo game now, which we still might see. I'd assume we would. But the F-Zero franchise.
Yeah, F-Zero GX came out in 2003. That was the last time we ever saw Captain Falcon sort of
in a proper
F-Zero game, which is weird because like Nintendo, I feel like maybe Nintendo feels like if they have their kart racing, their sort of racing type of game. Why do another F-Zero? I thought F-Zero had enough to make it sort of unique and separate from Mario Kart, but
yeah, I think like that. The skill curve for that game is like...
Oh, it was nuts.
Insane, yeah.
Yeah. It was, and I'm sure Nintendo can find a way to sort of reinvent that franchise. Custom carts you can do. You can even have a single-player campaign where you actually maybe play as Captain Falcon.
Well, F-Zero GX did have...
They had a campaign.
All of that.
Oh, they had the custom cars, but like, you know what I mean? Like more
like
of that.
Going further into it.
And even like having a place where maybe you can play as a character, like where it's like... Maybe it's like
not Captain Falcon, like someone else,
or that like maybe you play as Captain Falcon. So throughout the game, you're playing as Captain Falcon. It can be just like an action sort of classic,
Oh, not racing game.
Yeah, not racing game, but there's still racing components in it. So it's like,
okay, I get.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so that rather than being just race after race after race, there's like other missions you do as F-Zero. Maybe you can free roam, drive around.
Yeah, it seems weird that like Captain Falcon, at least now, is seen as like a fighting character because of Smash Bros.
Because he has all these moves and stuff, but you don't actually get to use any of those in any of his games.
Yeah, there's like the classic Falcon Punch, which is like in his games isn't actually a thing. Like,
it's just a made up Smash Brothers move. But it would be cool to sort of see his own game, and I don't think it should be an F-Zero racing game, but like I just said,
it's just like an adventure game,
but has that F-Zero racing component. Yeah, like that's a huge part of it.
Kind of like pod racing in Star Wars.
Exactly, right? Like you'd play a Star Wars game and then you'd have a pod race in like between those moments.
Yeah,
which would be cool.
Or you can just skip them if you don't want. If you don't want that.
I think there'd be more like the whole idea is like this sort of champion Grand Prix. But maybe there's like But I think it'd be cool to go back and sort of talk about that.
Then explore his world more because we really don't see anything of it.
And that's a shame. Like Nintendo has these great franchises that like people play as and people love, but there just hasn't been a lot of love. And I think Nintendo would be smart to sort of bring some of that stuff back.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so this next game came out on the original Xbox, and when playing the game for the first time was definitely supposed to be much bigger and had much more potential in it for like sequels and building out that universe that just never saw the light of day. Yeah,
this game was something that I remember when I first playing it, I'm like, wow, this story is intense. Yeah. Like emotionally intense. Like
first like hour, like people are dying.
Like, I think it was like your girlfriend dies in the opening scene, I think it was, and then your brother.
No, you choose who dies.
Oh, okay. Was that what it was?
Yeah,
oh my
you
God.
pick between your girlfriend. Spoiler alert for this game. You pick between your girlfriend or brother, and then at the very end of the game, they're the main villain of the game. the one that died becomes the villain.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that at all.
Yeah, I remember that.
The game we're talking about is 2005's Advent Rising by Majesco Entertainment.
Yeah, developed by Glyphix Games.
Yeah, this game was, I thought was played, again, thinking back, like I was really young and I didn't really know what like a great, amazing game was. I was playing the shit out of anything. So, but that game, I think the story of it was just so tight. The action,
everything.
Yeah, and I know there were plans to sort of break this game out and make it into like a trilogy, a very ambitious trilogy that I was really excited for. Again, the combat was great. The effects, the type of magic that you can cast and stuff. It was just a really good like action adventure game that.
And for anyone who doesn't know, this game's like imagine Mass Effect, but much less shooting and much more focused on magic and like the action of the game.
But same sort of type of universe too, like very space themed.
Yeah, like a very futuristic game with magic
and like third person, so you're sort of like pulled out a bit further. But again, this game, the combat was so tight. Like I remember playing this and like being able to like force, like pull, like lift people, and just I don't know. It was something that I thought was.
I think it was too far ahead of its time, and it was too ambitious
for what it ended up being.
Yeah, and for like what the consoles can do and what it was trying to do.
Yeah, but it was a fun game. If you guys, anyone has like an old Xbox, try and dig this game up. It's definitely worth a playthrough. Reviews can say otherwise, but growing up, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Majesco ended up going bankrupt, so I don't know. I think that franchise just.
Yeah, I'm not sure like with the IP, like how that would all legally work and whether it can come back,
which is unfortunate. But again, like that was at a time where I felt like developers were just pumping out original games. Like they didn't give a shit. They were like, "Oh, here you go. Here's Advent Rising. Here's Too Human. Here's
Halo.
Here's Halo." Yeah, like this. I think Xbox and like PS2, that was a really exciting time for video games, and now we're sort of just seeing.
Sequels and remakes.
Yeah, which is kind of like it's fine.
And here we are doing a podcast about remakes and reboots.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? PS4 just redid Shadow of the Colossus. I announced at E3 a couple weeks back. Yeah. I would love if Microsoft sort of did the same thing. Yeah. Found some of these old sort of graveyard games and brought them back to a new generation.
Yeah, Advent Rising, a lot of fun. But check it out.
Like, didn't they announce like backwards compatibility with Xbox games?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. So like, this game might actually.
Man, maybe we should play that. Just go back, stream some of.
If it's available, I would probably play it.
I don't know if we still have it. Do we, or do we sell it off?
We don't have any of our original stuff.
Oh shit. Anyway.
Microsoft, please bring it back.
Yeah, Advent Rising, 2005. Check it out, guys. So that's it, guys. That's this week's episode. So let us know what you guys think. Let us know, are there franchise that you guys would love to see sort of brought back that you remember playing?
Or have you guys played these games, and like, are they actually that good, or is it just our nostalgia is just blinding us?
Yeah. Let us know, guys. Thanks a lot.